Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. So we are back. We're going to do another Christmas horror stories, and then that's going to be the last one for this month. I'm going to start off with some brand new stuff come January. There's that to look forward to. A little bit of everything. Um, Conspiracies, murders, serial killers, haunted shit. I love paranormal. Um, let's get into this very, very last Christmas horror story. And, let's just get her done. This one is called The Orphan. When I was 12 years old, both my parents died. I'm still having trouble processing it. I suppose the majority of people would. My neighbors had heard screaming coming from our house at the time and had contacted the cops. By the time the cops arrived, it was too late. Both of my parents had already been stabbed to death. When they came in, I was clutching my dead mother and wailing. The cops approached me and inquired about what had occurred. The problem was that I was sleeping at the time, so I had no idea what was going on. My parents' lifeless bodies were in front of me. Their chests were stabbed multiple times. They had been drenched in blood. It was on the news, and a number of individuals expressed their condolences for my loss. The murderer was never apprehended by the authorities. My uncle Leslie took me in after that. I lived with him for a few years until another traumatic event occurred. In the house, a fire had started. This time, the fire department was dispatched to assist us. They first saved me, then one of them went in to save my uncle. Neither of them managed to escape. That night, I was sobbing uncontrollably. They eventually determined that the incident was caused by a gas leak. After that, I didn't have any other relatives to turn to. To make matters worse, no one wanted to adopt me. They claimed I was unlucky and that if they adopted me, they'd be the next to go. Same. I think the same. After some time, I was ultimately adopted by a foster family. There were 4 of them, and they were all quite pleasant and caring. The father had a gun, and he informed me where it was so that in the event of a break-in, we'd be able to defend ourselves and be secure. I was overjoyed with them. They assisted me with schoolwork and were always available for emotional support when I needed it. It may sound strange, but I believe I loved them more than my biological family. I had graduated from high school and was now a senior. Wait, how are you going to graduate from high school and now you're a senior? See, this is the discrepancies I'm always talking about in these videos, guys. Anyways, my family decided to celebrate by making tortellini mac and cheese with cut up bits of chicken, which is one of my favorite foods. It was incredible. It was shaping up to be an ideal day. Dad cooked these amazing butterscotch milkshakes. Wait, how did he cook a milkshake? See? This is that shit I'm talking about. Can't cook a milkshake, man. You gotta make it. Anyways, Dad cooked these amazing butterscotch milkshakes while we watched a movie. I was feeling fatigued as the evening progressed. I went to bed after saying goodnight to everyone. I lay in bed for a few moments simply thinking. I'm delighted I'm here after everything that's happened. Everything turned out beautifully. I rolled over onto my side and shut my eyes. Then it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. There were 4 bullets fired. When I opened my eyes, I saw each of my family members have a bullet lodged in their heads. I got down on my knees and dropped the rifle I'd grabbed. My eyes welled up with tears. Why? Why did it have to happen once more? It seemed like it was finally coming to an end. I thought I'd finished. Why do I keep killing the people I care about while I'm sleeping? And that is the end of that story, guys, believe it or not. You don't have to believe it, but that's it. There's nothing else. Anyways, we're at 5 minutes. We're doing great. Let's get into another one. This one's called A Bad Stomachache. I work as a doctor at the local hospital in my town. Oh, dude, working in medical field, it not like any other job, dude. I've worked in gas station, I've worked in retail, I've worked in fast food, I've been a caregiver, I've had a lot of different jobs. And to be honest with you, um, medical is probably the hardest. Probably the hardest. And it's not even the job. It's the people and the environment. Well, anyways, as a doctor, I've seen a lot of things, and some folks just can't seem to avoid getting into horrific mishaps. Half of one man's face was losing skin when he stepped in. It was a horrific motorcycle crash. I've seen folks puke blood because they were that sick. I've even watched someone die on the operating table, something I don't like to confess. It happens. It's something you come to accept as a doctor after seeing all these things. But I had a patient, if you can call him that, who I will never forget. It was the first time I had to cope with such a situation. He had come in complaining of a horrible stomach ache one day. It seemed to have started that morning and hasn't stopped since. He was wailing in agony and pleading for aid. I spoke with another doctor, and we transported him to the emergency room, where everything appeared to be in order. We even took x-rays. After a while, he stopped screaming and inquired as to what was wrong with him. He was astonished when I assured him nothing was wrong and that he was fine. He told me that I must have overlooked something, but I am certain that I did not. He claimed he was possessed by a beast. I assumed he was simply describing his discomfort. I told him to go home without thinking much about it. And he did so after some coaxing. However, he returned the next day complaining of stomach problems. They were worse, he said, than before. I inquired about the discomfort. I was curious as to whether it was the same as before. It was the beast inside of him, he said, moving around his tummy. It was now burning the inside of his stomach, he claimed. I knew this wasn't the case because we'd witnessed something similar the day before. He pleaded with me and the nurses to assist him. I felt awful for him, so I figured that if I showed him that he was all right, he'd stop worrying about nothing. He was taken to a room where he could stay by me and a few of nurses. I had the nurses keep an eye on him while I went to get some paperwork proving that he was fine. The two nurses who assisted me and I were called for an emergency shortly after I received the paperwork. I was fortunate enough to be able to get a separate doctor to accompany me so that I could demonstrate to my other patient that nothing was wrong. I was really taken aback when I returned to the room where I had left him. I strewn the papers on the floor. My patient had his stomach cut open and was kneeling on the floor. Blood was splattered across the floor and on his hands. I know it's in here, doctor, he whispered, dropping the knife and looking up at me. Please, you have to help get it out. I was about to contact for assistance when I noticed it. I couldn't tell if it was red or just covered in blood when it crept out of his gut. It had to be at least 9 inches long, with a tongue that was roughly the same size as its body. It was the beast. I couldn't believe my eyes. That is the end of that story, guys. That's fucking sick. I think because this is my last video, I think we're going to do one more because I seen the title of this video, and I think it's going to be very fitting. So it's going to be a little bit longer, but I feel like it's fitting. This one's called Sing a Christmas Carol. My family was strong on keeping traditions, especially during the holidays. They had the unusual holiday customs such as candy for Halloween and turkey for Thanksgiving, but at Christmas, we always took it a step further. Also, required Christmas caroling was a part of our ritual. I used to love going out and singing Christmas tunes when I was a youngster. It had been 8 years since then. Despite the fact that I am 20 years old and in college, I am still pulled into singing Christmas carols with my family. We go door to door and sing every year. The one advantage of being older is that I now get a share of the money we make, but even so, I'd prefer stay at home. It's no longer something I enjoy. So this year, I informed my parents that I would not be going Christmas caroling. They exchanged glances before returning my gaze. Urgh. Oh shit, 14 minutes, huh? Well, I was talking to the mail lady. It's fucking awesome. She's awesome. I need to give her a raise. Gotta do something for her because this lady, the best. Best mail lady I've had in a long time. So, anyways, let's get back into the story. I have to cut out all that about my mail shit. So, I love to appreciate people. Especially, it's nasty outside right now. It's snowing, it's cold, it's windy, and this woman is a beast. She's a beast. So, anyways, back to the story. We've been doing it for years and will continue to do so. I told my mother that I no longer enjoyed Christmas caroling and that I would not be going. My mother then recommended that instead of Christmas caroling, we go shopping or eat at 1 p.m. I said that I didn't want to go any place and that I preferred to stay at home. My mother was concerned as she glanced at my father. My father looked at me and said, "You're of legal age now, and I believe you should be aware. Our house is haunted, so we don't go Christmas caroling on Christmas Eve because we want to. Between 1 and 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve, the ghost or demon that haunts our house emerges. Your mother and I first saw it when you were 5 years old, and we've been leaving the house ever since to keep us all safe." What my father said astounded me. If we were living in a haunted house, I wondered why we never moved. He stated that, aside from today, the house is magnificent, and that when they purchased it, they had spent practically all of their money into it. And when they eventually did have the funds to relocate, I'd already established a lot of friends, and they didn't think it would be fair to take that away from me for a 2-hour per year issue. I didn't believe a word they said anymore, so I made a deal. I'm remaining at home today, but if whatever they say happens, I'll believe them and join them in caroling every Christmas after that. My parents warned me that this was a bad idea, but I was set on doing it. So it was 1 p.m., and they had already left without me. The first hour was fine, and I assumed they had lied to me to get me to accompany them. Then 2 p.m. arrived, and everything changed. Large clanging sounds could be heard coming from the kitchen. I rushed in to find dishes and utensils strewn on the floor. There was no way that could have happened in a regular situation. I was a little terrified at this point, so I chose to remain in the living room. After what seemed like an eternity, I heard a knocking from inside the chimney. I would have assumed it was an animal if it hadn't happened in the kitchen, but I was really concerned. I approached the chimney, turned on the phone's flashlight, and peered inside. I saw a visage with sunken-in eyes and razor-sharp fangs there. I took a step back and dashed for the door. The monster then ascended the chimney and began walking towards me. It resembled a person, but it was exceedingly pale and had visible veins. It was dressed in a soiled Christmas sweater and pants. Its claw-like hands scraped across the floor as it walked towards me, thanks to its lengthy arms. The door would not budge when I tried to open it. The thing shrieked and started talking. My eyes were wounded by its voice. It inquired as to why I was present. It informed me that I was awaiting visitors and that this was not my residence. I dashed upstairs to my room. I shut the door behind me and locked it. It was walking up the stairwell when I heard it. It came to a halt in front of my door. Then I heard the front door open. It gently swung open. I dashed to my closet, hoping it wouldn't see me. It made its way over to my closet. My door is being scratched by claws. To get my phone, I reached into my pocket. I was going to apologize to my parents for not believing them and tell them how much I loved them. The scratching ceased as soon as I took out my phone. There was no sound at all. I checked my phone to see what time it was. It was 3 p.m. That meant the thing was no longer present and my parents would be arriving shortly. I didn't even bother to open the closet door. I cried in my closet while waiting for my parents. After all, maybe Christmas carol singing wasn't that horrible after all. And that is the end, guys. I can't. I can't. And I really liked what the next one's titled, but we're not going to do anymore because we're at like 20 minutes now. And I know I'm going to cut out a bunch of this because the mail lady came and I didn't stop recording because what fun is that? So, anyways, if you guys liked my video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And as always, I appreciate you guys so much. And you guys, I really hope you had a very Merry Christmas because it'll be after Christmas when you see this. And an even better Happy New Year. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.